Is your computer working?
I think so. We're hoping that it is. Pat Brown,
Here.
Jeff Pratt,
Here.
David O'Neill,
Here.
Blaze Cook,
Here.
Drew Vining, Dean Krause, Joel Williams.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Commissioners have a chance to look at the May 26th minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Corrections? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Under new business, we have a request for a vacation of right of way adjacent to located at 107 South Hickory Street. Wayne.
Yeah, so this is, Larry Mead Kaufman has requested that the city consider abandoning an alley right of way. As adjacent to lots 9 and 11, and block 1 of the thick edition. So it was originally platted, never been developed. City has no plan of developing a paved alley there. Actually, some of this particular alley over by where it would connect to Maple was abandoned. That's where the Central Elementary playground used to be. Going through all of that, but just of course, it was put in the packets. We did receive a letter of opposition from a property owner that's adjacent to the same alley on the other side. They use that for access to their backyard. So it's going to be it's a difficult one to fully abandon if it's going to consideration has to be given to any type of cutting off somebody's access to it.
No utilities, right?
No utility issues. That would apply fire protection when we went to vacation.
We have a representative. To speak.
Yes. The applicants are here.
But the applicants like anything you want to add, but you please come to the podium and station on things.
Larry Kaufman. And the reason we wanted to abandon, so this is ours, and that's yours. We don't have any issue for driving your board since more backyard. No, we haven't had any problems. My mother, she lived there almost 50 years. And when John was alive, we didn't have any problem with John, and I'm going to yard off the time, and we needed to be a problem. But we don't want to stop her from getting back there to the yard, it's no problem. She did mail us a sign that said no parking. And HPD came up and said that, our tenant, that we have rented has a right to park there because it's city owned. And we're just not on any issues with anybody. And we just don't, like I said, she can drive them all through there like she always does, like John used to. That's all we really did, was to stop creating issues and problems.
Questions to the applicant from the commissioners?
I went by and looked at everything, walked around. So are you going to put the flower beds out in the alley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our tenant.
The 10 put in?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were in the way before, she couldn't get her mower through there, they had 2 roads. And when they found out they were in the way, getting their mower through there, they moved them
Move them over.
in one straight line. So, we don't want any issues. Anybody.
Did you all try to work out an agreement between you all?
My wife went down and talked to her, I don't know what I was saying.
Okay, so no attempt that you're aware of.
Not for me.
I went down,
I'm sorry, state your name, please.
Rita Kaufman, Larry's office. I went down to talk with Jill and explained to him what we were wanting to do. And he didn't want to do it. So just left it at that. Am I not talking loud enough?
Well, we record these and we're sorry, we didn't have a microphone already set up.
Well, both parties have mowed that city out for a long time, most of them, they're almost 50 years. That's 50.
Okay, there
They're saying both parties have mowed that alleyway. I'm over the same property and I'm saying we need a long brick wall. I don't know why they can issue. I really don't. And she still got access to her backyard. To ride more.
Any other questions? Thank you. Would,
Yes. I have quite a bit to say. I'm Jill Mars Bishop,
and if you could hold it to about 3 minutes.
okay. I'm the property owner at 623 and 625 West Central, and I am in objection to changing this from a platted alley to dividing the land. 7.5 feet doesn't do me any good. We can't get service vehicles or my own truck or anything into our backyard, so basically it's cut off the access. We have a brick wall around our backyard and the gate facing the alley. My parents, John and Betty Mars, when they built the brick wall back in the 80s, they specifically put that gate there in front of the alley because they thought the access to our backyards would always be protected because of it. And, you know, if you go back, our house is a little bit historic. 625 was built in 1897. My great grandfather, C.V. Castor, who was one time the mayor of Harrison back in 1912, he bought the land and the property, the house. And he was the second owner. Then he built 623 in 1940. So we have had the property for a long time, and it's always been a platted alley throughout history, and we've never had any problems with it. As far as I have had the renters at times where they parked their cars and they blocked my access where I couldn't even get the mower through. And yes, I called the city to see what could be done. I had taken it upon myself to mow when they were at work and stuff, so I could get through. Then yet this year it went too far. They put 2 rows of planter boxes on the city-owned property where I couldn't even get a mower through. I often take my truck to the backyard to take heavy items that, you know, landscaping equipment, things like that. Even when we have service trucks, repair, they come into the backyards of both houses through that entrance. Now that they put those flower boxes out there, well, they're hurting our property value and cutting off access to the backyards of both properties. So I am definitely totally against this. My brother and sister and I own 625 West Central. My husband and I own 623. We are all totally against this being changed from a platted alley to 7.5 feet. 7.5 feet is not going to do me any good, and especially if they have their flower boxes out there. So I'm hoping that you see it, it just needs to stay as it is, a platted alley, and we need some city oversight in seeing that their items are removed, because I don't think they'll do it on their own. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Any questions? Well, I do see that, you know, the abandonment does primarily benefit one owner, but obviously further than others, so. But, questions, comments, from the commission?
Make a motion with these alley city property as is. In that motion, we need to move flower beds out of the city.
And that'd be a city would have to control that.
Okay.
You could ask. Later, we was removed.
Can I say anything else?
Go ahead. We do have a motion on the table.
Okay, well, no one interfere with it.
So should the motion be made, everybody think that we leave the city alley the way it has always been? It needs to be a shared alley. It should
Deny
not.
vacation.
Yeah.
So how will I see that the flower beds are moved?
That's something you'd have to deal with the city. And then we,
Do I need to call the police or what?
All you gonna do
Plain
is
Fish doesn't have any control.
It's there. I don't know what you want to do.
I do need to say something else. If I need to go up here, is it okay?
Yes, but that's fine. We do have a motion that.
I understand that, and I'm not trying to get a fair promotion. I just wanted them that, when I spoke with them about it, I went down there because my granddaughter said she was knocking on her door, and I went down there. She had already left when the granddaughter answered the door. And when I got down there, she come around the corner on her lawnmower and was driving toward the boxes. And then she got off to come talk to me, and I said, wait a minute, I said, can you get back on the mower and let's just see if it'll go through? And I said, okay, I can see it don't go through, and she tried to get it up there. And I said, I can see it don't go through. And we talked about getting things stuffed out. And I asked her about the trash pile, the burn pile at the end of that alleyway. And that is where they put their debris from their yard on our side of the fence. It's still there. She said that was the city's responsibility.
I did not say that, as far as even on the end of it, there's yard waste because the tree that the school owns constantly falls and the walnuts. And the hole is where the water line and stuff is.
Well,
And a lot of that-
not be used as a dumping ground. So.
And I have not been putting anything in there other than the tree, that walnut tree that is owned by the school that falls to get stuff out of the way, but I am no longer putting anything in there. And I've even hired someone to come and clear that and haul things off.
We have a motion to deny the vacation of the right of way. We have a second. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries not to vacate. Next item we have on the agenda is 501 North Main, the Arkansas Executive Prep Academy. Running the existing building into a preparatory academy for school. Do we have a representative like the, or Wade, you want to go first or that? Go ahead, come on up.
I'm Dr. Christine Hiller with Arkansas Executive Prep Academy. I'm coming to you today to request a additional use permit for the property where we will place the Arkansas Executive Prep Academy. We have a full enrollment of 275 students right now, and it will be a K-8 building there.
I've got a couple of questions myself. You're indicating you're looking at this for a 3-year period,
Yes,
and so you're planning on. Is that to begin looking for someplace or?
Within 3 years, you want to be somewhere else?
potentially. What we had to cut off enrollment, to, at this location, we've already outrun it. We have a waiting list, to get in, so we cut off our enrollment at this time so that we can, be within and compliance of all the code, at this location. We are potentially looking, at, different location, maybe for our middle school as we grow, and we will eventually be a K-12 school. As we will add a grade with our 8th graders, they'll be our first graduating class.
I guess. The most active, I mean, all the activity will be on the primary level, so. The lower level is strictly for storm. So how do you handle ADA getting, disabled people down?
Sure. Yes, with Neville's Construction is going to be, constructing a ramp. So that we can get our, any disabled children that we have who need that ADA access, into that one floor.
So what will the bottom floor be used?
It will be for not construction, sorry, storage. It will be a teacher work area and that's it. Will be chemical storage away from the children and any type of material storage that we need. There will be no classes held in the basement.
What are the plans for recess?
For recess, we are currently in talks with, we just began the discussion with Northside Church of Christ, to build a playground there, and we would have a joint use agreement.
To be outside?
Yes, outside. We also have, a company has donated pickleball courts to us. They plan to paint those in a few weeks, and Foursquare, things like that, for more outdoor activities right there on the property.
On the property?
Yes. Right outside the building doors.
So it also indicates that there'll be no on-site meal prep.
Correct.
So how are kids fed?
That it will be catered by local vendors. We've partnered with Townhouse Cafe, Jameson's Food Truck, Moxie Food Truck, Farmer's Daily Bread, Sip and Savor, and Good Guys, and they will be catering the meals to our families.
So would that not be considered cafeteria then? I mean, if they're congregating to eat? I guess I'm throwing that tomorrow.
Well, again, it depends on how big that area is. I'm not seeing the floor plan yet, I need to get.
Big cafeteria would be considered an assembly, which would require sprinkler.
Well, we've also, limited the number of kids based on that. Because on that's 300 on education. So we kept that threshold, which is under that, so there's stuff in the alarm system, I told them, but fire sprinkler does not kick in for 300.
Have you obtained approval from Northside to utilize the parking lot? Is that in a written agreement?
Yes, sir. Dr. Kenny Collins, told us that the elders had met at the congregation and were in unanimous agreement that we could do that, and they have provided a letter. For that, they mailed it, and so it's probably in my mailbox right now.
Wait, you've not received that yet. How about, I know that there's reference to parents at the center. What is that? Is that additional, parent meeting at the center at the same time?
What that is our parent engagement program. And that looks like could be a small group classes for parents, on specific topics that they request. We would keep our, it would be no more than 10 to 12. Definitely small group classes, for that. If there's ever a time that we would need, a large congregatory space, we also rent space at, Signature Tower for Freedom Education Services. And we would use their meeting rooms over there for any larger events, more than 15 to 20.
I think I know the answer to this from the material, but it's the operation Monday through Friday.
It is.
Parking seems to be the biggest issue in my book.
How are you planning on handling the capacity difference between what the city's got you down as capacity and what you got enrolled?
Well, we are waitlisting anyone who is enrolling past, the 275 student mark. Yeah, we're just waitlisting
I
and,
thought you mentioned a minute ago 300 or something.
well, 299 is we won't go any more than 299, but that includes our teachers as well.
So 275 enrolled plus teachers.
Plus teachers, yes, we won't go over the 299 mark.
I do need to point out that 299 occupancy is all souls in the building. For fire code.
So that would be if they had, I think you use parents as, help sometimes, volunteers. I think I read that in literature. So would that be like if parents are there plus the students, plus the teachers?
Yeah, for fire code, it's every person, it includes when they're dropping off food.
So how's that monitored?
Well, like anything, obviously we start getting word of that increased or violated, we address that. Just with the same way things do, we just do it, based on what. They will, they'll follow the same inspection requirements twice a year, or just, we want to inspect them twice a year.
Drop off and pick up. I read where that was a concern as well.
Yeah, I think Wade will address this comments.
And I'm happy to share our plan for that if you would like for me to.
Sure.
Okay, we have staggered drop off and pick up. So within our operations, we are open from 6:45 in the morning until 5:15 in the evening. And our parents and staff can choose different times that they come in. So we will have a 6:45 drop off, as well as every 15 minutes afterwards, and we have classes going the whole time. So we will divide our families into groups. Now, I understand that, best intentions, may not always work as we have planned, but we do have private security, and we will have plenty of staff on site to be able to keep that traffic moving. We will keep everyone off of Main Street. That is our plan. Again, I understand that not everybody follows the rules, and so we will address that on an individual basis, but we will be fully staffed for those drop off and dismissal times. They will be staggered. In the morning, I think we have 4 groups, and in the afternoon, we have 6 groups that start at 2:15 with our walkers, and then extend all the way to 5:15 with our last group for those who choose the extended day. I've designed and implemented drop off and dismissal in urban cities, North Little Rock, and in small cities as well. So I'm very familiar with traffic flow and what it takes to keep it moving, and what a frustration that can be.
I'll just spoke the question. Is parking not really a concern to you at all?
Parking is always a concern. there never seems to be enough parking. I drove by the federal building today and everybody was parked everywhere, down there.
That's not.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's not only you that'll be affected.
Right, right. So, to alleviate, some of that, we want all of our teachers to park in that north side, parking lot. And, that's
only 22.
right. So 22 cars out. There are 22 spaces there. And so that keeps those open for any families who need to pull in and all that. But that again goes to that those graduated times of drop off and pick up. That hopefully we can spread some of that out. So that there wouldn't be a time where it would be an overwhelming problem. But we are always, open to working with whoever we need to work with to improve our own processes, to make it better if it's something that we need to address.
Questions? Well, I noticed Duncan is here, and he'd like to.
I do have a few things I'd like to address for sure.
Like to do it away, you want to have any address, but what do you think? Do you want to come up and do it, please?
I think most of y'all know me, Mike Duncan, with Duncan Auto Body. I've got several concerns with this operation. I wanna say that I'm not opposed to a school. It's not about it being a school. It's about the size of the operation. And it is very much about the traffic routing plan. I've been provided a schematic of what their traffic routing plan is. And unfortunately for me, that means routing every bit of the traffic through their parking lot and through a one-way alley or one-lane alley behind my business. And I own both sides of the alleyway. We access our main shop from the front overhead doors. We also have rear overhead doors, so we use the alleyway to access as well. We have a shop located, again, with our parking lot, and one shop located, I believe, what's on the east side of the alleyway. During these times of drop off and pickup, I mean, no offense, but I think we've all been to school and we see the results of drop off and pickup. And so trying to funnel that amount of cars through a one-lane alley behind my business is basically going to shut me down during those times. We're going to have, I have anywhere from 10 to 15 cars dropped off on Monday morning. And as everybody knows, the parking lot on Main Street's pretty minimal for what we've got, which is why we have the parking lot out back. Those cars have to be, when they're dropped off, have to be immediately moved, to behind the shop for access for other customers to come in and drop their cars off or come in for estimates. And so I can't see how we're going to route 200 students' cars. I mean, to me, that equates to basically 200 cars coming through twice a day. And I don't see any way that that's not going to back up in the alleyway. And when it does, it basically effectively shuts my business down. And so, again, I'm not opposed to the school. I'm opposed to the traffic plan, the size of the operation. I don't personally, I mean, 200 plus students in a building that size, I'm going to have to say, I don't see that as feasible myself. That's my personal opinion. And I feel like, over time, it's going to be a detriment to my business. The people are not going to want to fight the traffic. Main Street's getting in and outs, pretty much bad enough as it is. And now we're gonna, that problem's gonna be 10, 20 times worse easily. And so, that's the reasons I'm in opposition to this. That's, I think that's really the gist of it is mainly the traffic plan. Have you all seen the traffic plan for the routing of it? you know, that's my main opposition, because I'm gonna end up getting again shut down for, you know, multiple hours during the day and, we know what that's gonna do. And, you know, if we, you know, there's no way I can function there like that. Nobody wants to function like that, so it's gonna, I know what it's gonna do. I'm sure everybody's aware of what it'll do to my property values as well. So, you know, those are my reasons and, you know, I appreciate y'all listening to me and hearing me out and, I would just ask that you, very carefully consider this, you know, because I think it's gonna, very adversely affect my business. It's been in operation over 30 years on Main Street, so.
Questions for Mr. Duncan?
No questions.
What are the actual pickup times for drop off?
6:45, from 6:45 until 7:45. And then for dismissal, 2:15, the bulk of our children are staying until 5, so, we start at 2:15 with our walkers, and then we go every 15 to 30 minutes after that, till 3:30, and then 4, and then 5 and 5. And I'm happy to sit down with Mr. Duncan and work something out. I mean, that was something that was it just made sense to do that. We can show, I mean, there's lots of things that we are willing to do. We don't want to shut anybody's business down.
You know, we'll start by saying I'm more than happy to sit down and talk to you.
Okay.
I will also say that I don't mean this in a bad way. I would have appreciated the input before we're, you know, and spoke about this before we're sitting here. Because again, I don't, you know, I've been there 30 years, you know, and it's not that I'm not saying that I've been there 30 years, I deserve this or I deserve that. I'm saying that I have seen the traffic. I've seen what it does. I know, you know, just for instance, when there's a funeral, I know what that does to the traffic patterns around our area.
What time do you open, Mike?
We open at 7 a.m. We advertise 8 to 5, but we have employees that start at 7 a.m. My office opens at 7 a.m. To start taking vehicles in, and we're pretty much open until 5 o'clock. We don't close down for lunch hour as well. So, you know, it's not a matter of you know, want to have to move vehicles on a regular basis. It's because I have to. You know, there is no choice. You have to move vehicles from one shop to the other for paint, for body, calibrations, you name it. And I'll just say that I didn't come here lightly. You know, the last place I want to be is trying to tell somebody else, you know, what to do, or what not to do with their property. The last place I want to be. But I've thought about this a lot, and I don't see any way with the way the alleyway is set up and the way the buildings are set up. I don't see any way to alleviate an issue, with being able to get cars back and forth to my parking lot out back and to my shop that's located out back as well. So.
Wade, do you have anything you want to add to that comment?
Oh, I think, so parking. Trying to apply our code to, you know, charter schools a little bit different, and I've tried to put all that in the notes explaining. It's a different type of operation, so I kind of had to wrap my head around it. I did bombard Ms. Tolan with a lot of questions, a lot of geared towards trying to figure out what their parking need was. Couple things: high school students at this campus will not be allowed to drive themselves. You know, we do have requirements in our code that address high school student, you know, a certain number per high school student that would be there. That, you know, the intent necessarily wouldn't apply if they're not allowed to drive to campus. And so I went through, the best way I could apply parts of our code is that one parking space per employee plus one space per classroom, which is a little bit light, but that's how you would kind of treat that elementary, middle school type. Which is while it's grades, K through 8, eventually K through 12, the operation itself sounds like it's gonna operate more as what you would see in elementary, not coursework and stuff like that, but just a little bit different than a typical, high school campus. And then so our code doesn't really, so I used a calculation based off of that, and then I went and I did a calculation for visitors based off of some state info and for their site selection, which charter schools are not subject to those requirements, but I still at least took a look at them and tried to estimate kind of what we would expect based off of those number of students as far as visitors go. And so basically the states was visitor parking was typically calculated 2% of the total student population. So that's where, when you go through the notes, we get to a total of 39 plus 288, or including 288 stalls. Now, if 22 of those are off-site, then that backs the on-site minimum number based off of these calculations down to 17. So they do have that there, but that's also assuming, a very took a lot of, I shouldn't say liberty, but just trying to figure out how to apply some code to this and how it works. I'd say 17 is probably not going to be enough if they have a lot of parent involvement.
That be 17 all on the west side.
That would be 17 on their property, on the property.
It could potentially be on the north.
Yeah, they own up some.
Isn't that with pickleball court?
Yes, but everything will be retractable so that we can run whatever we need to. All of the nets, it'll all be retractable.
Taking up the parking during normal hours, and that's where, so. Assuming the 22, they've got the agreement, the permission in place, we get that right. For the teachers to park, and teachers all park alongside church of Christ. We're at a bare minimum that there has to be 17 spaces available on the property itself. Yeah, for visitors, for just normal routines. And again, that was pretty liberal interpretation of our code to try and just because when we look at kindergarten, our code looks at kindergarten different than it does elementary versus junior high, and certainly versus high school. So that's kind of where I fell on the bare minimum. Loading and unloading, I think that's probably my biggest concern is potential backup onto Main Street. And making sure that there is, I feel a little better seeing the staging plan. Although, that doesn't mean everybody's gonna show up right. If you're scheduled for later drop off, you still may drop the kid off early. So that was my biggest concern. There's opportunities, Mr. Duncan routing the traffic north through the alley. I see his concerns. Probably might be better to send it back south. And that way they're just circulating around the building itself and not bisecting what he's conducting his business. Possible. I think it's possible it shortens up the line. They'll have to. They'll have, if they're queuing their traffic a little bit on Erie, which is not terribly busy. They're gonna have to manage those people that are wanting to go out of the alley onto Erie. Even though when you get those left turns, a little bit of management down there, and it probably requires staff. And so those, the parking and the loading and unloading, kind of the two that I keyed in on just from a P&Z standpoint. And just, I put in the notes, minimum conditions. If a conditional use permit is issued. Key one being the limit the building occupancy to 299, that helps keep. It gives another layer to help with the fire department on making sure that they're not exceeding that requirement that would end up requiring a sprinkler system The written agreement from Northside Church of Christ, which I believe is forthcoming. A minimum of 17 parking spaces on the property. 2 of which need to be ADA for our code. And then I would, I would recommend, a periodic review of the operation and continued coordination with, the operators of the school if the conditional use permit. That way we can make sure. It's no different than our public schools. We coordinate with them, as best we can on traffic. I know, Godwin, we're investing a significant amount of money managing traffic, but we work with them quite a bit over the years as far as the internal traffic patterns and stuff like to help make things work better. And obviously we can continue to do that with any type of school that's operating. Just this one, we've got to watch really closely its impacts to Main Street. I think is my biggest concern. I don't foresee, if the drop-offs are staged and everything staged well, I don't see Erie backing up and causing an issue on Walnut, but that would be the one that we would need to be taking a look at. If the conditional use permit is issued, we would need to be kind of watching that, making sure that the traffic plan does not, keeps things going up to where we don't have a backup on Walnut, because we do have quite a bit of traffic on that road, especially morning and evening. Be happy to answer any questions on other stuff. I just kind of want to hit those main points.
If traffic was rerouted, so it didn't come back behind you, did you have an issue?
I would start by saying at this point that I would, hope that a decision's not made spur of the moment right here today. I think there's a lot of stuff in question. I would be more than happy to look at that. Again, I'm not opposed to this, to a school. I'm opposed to, I want my business to run. I've got 8 families that depend on. And so, yeah, I'm open to that. But I also know that when we start talking about drivers, which I know a lot about, there's going to be people that are going to be in a hurry to get out of there. And they're not going to follow the traffic. They're going to go, well, heck, we go left here instead of right. Then we know it's going to happen. Again, I'll just say that if something is issued and approved, I think there should be a fail-safe involved with that it needs to be revisited after the school's in operation to assure that it's not affecting my business. Because, I'll be straight. If it very adversely affects my business, I've only got 2 choices. Sell out and relocate. That's my choice. And I'll just say that if I relocate, I'm probably going to be looking outside city limits at that point. Because I don't want to deal with this again. I don't see, there was a beauty school there for quite a while. And I don't know how many young ladies attended that beauty school. I know it wasn't even in the realm of what we're talking about here. And, there was never enough room for parking in the parking lot for that operation. On a daily and weekly basis, I fought cars being parked in our parking lot, and, causing issues. I've had cars parked right in front of my overhead door and go into the beauty school for the day. Some of it sounds good in theory, but I think the reality is that it's just going to, it's not going to run like we hope it's going to run.
Yeah,
Again,
rebuttal or anything you wanna add?
Absolutely do. Nobody has seen my, drop off and pickup line. It doesn't look like anything you've ever seen. It is, well done. It is fully and appropriately staffed. And we do have private security out there to control the traffic. So, I mean, with all due respect, I take pride in the kind of, I read inner city, Little Rock, I ran these things. So a lot more traffic than what we have in Harrison. I'm happy to work with you to make sure that you are not impacted in a way that you fear that you will be. We can run a shuttle. I can think of 2 or 3.
I very much appreciate that.
Okay.
I am 100% willing to discuss things and work with you.
Okay.
I will like to also have, and I don't mean this disrespectful, but our traffic situation is not like it is in Little Rock. It's not like it is in a big city. The roads are not equipped, but when this town was built and designed, it was not designed for this amount of traffic that we have right now. We fight it all the time. You know, so.
Okay.
I understand.
Wait, you have anything you wanna add?
No, sir.
Questions from the commissioners?
It's a tough one. And I know that this didn't come on the spur of the moment, because I know they've been working, trying to find a facility and we're gonna ask one. You know, I mean, so they're.
Do you want my real estate?
So if we have a line, I'll 100% agree. Please, we have it here, so we have. I got a question for you. So I don't really know exactly how you will plan on running the traffic, but in regards to Mr. Duncan, if you came up here, turned up the alleyway, came across the north end of your building and then back out your southern entrance.
Basically reverse or.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's then gonna make a wrong turn and be blocking the back of his, except he does have that one building that is there straight across from where your pickleball would be. Sure. That would be maybe impacted temporarily during the drop off and pickup. I agree that you're looking at a large amount of traffic right in that spot's gonna be tough. And you're a temporary deal. I mean, whatever we decide is gonna have to be temporary because you already are outgrown the building you're trying to move into, but you're there out of necessity, not out, I mean, there's just nowhere to go. So you I don't know, it's a tough call. Whatever we do, it's gonna be for a year, maybe 2 years, because you're gonna have to make a decision quickly what to do, because you don't have anywhere to grow. For your goals that you set in your paperwork. You're starting out behind the 8 ball, you know.
Yes.
So, I don't know, you're right, it's a tough one, I mean, I don't wanna hinder progress, but I don't wanna screw this up.
He's been here long before they were. I just don't want to affect his business.
We don't. If I can say that.
No,
And I don't think he really does, you know.
No.
That's not my, my point of view here.
I'm sorry, you have to do it.
Okay.
And I think I read in your literature, did I read in your literature that when a student's delivered, that the parent has to go inside, or it will be like a regular school where they just drop them off and the staff takes them? So the cars aren't there, they're moving,
Yes.
like when we drop our kids at any other school. My kids are all grown, but and those lines go pretty quick. Okay, so that's the way it will be.
You know, I've been in, I've been in lines picking up grandkids.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a long line.
It's a long line.
In some cases, it's a double.
Yeah.
Especially if it's engineered right to per plan, it can move fairly quickly, as long as you're gonna have somebody injured at some point, you know. Or people.
My only fear of the traffic, the traffic coming, instead of coming into the alleyway and turning left to the north and going south, is that you're routing the traffic back towards itself.
Yeah, that.
And I don't,
One comment.
you know, I think that.
You are, but at that point, they could go left or right off of. On the year.
And I'll just say that for me, that's a better option than what I'm hearing to begin with.
Yeah.
Because at least then I do have access down the alleyway from the north side of the alleyway. If they follow.
Because the school traffic wouldn't wanna be going.
The issue is, I mean, it might look good on paper, but what if it doesn't work?
And that's why I made the comment of a revisit this, you know, a temporary use and revisit this in 6 months. And if it's, you know, it's following and flowing like it's supposed to be and like they say it's gonna be, then great, you know.
Maybe that's the question.
You said that if there are issues, that shuttling is a potential fallback.
Yes, we have a plan.
From the church factor.
B&E, for that, so we thought about, you know, a lot of, the only reason we didn't turn the traffic back on ourselves was because of a jam on Henry, so. But we can just station, security there and, you know, and stop traffic, you know, cause that so that, everybody else can get.
How, I mean, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this, because I mean, again, I've got a daughter, I've been in schools, I've done the whole thing. So, you know, you're saying staggered drop off times. And you're saying starting at 6:45 in the morning. So how many cars are you expecting to come through at what intervals? Is what I'm trying to wrap my mind around, because even if we route the traffic south out of the alleyway, that still shuts off my shop. My shop that's on the other side of the alley. And I have, you know, technicians in there that have to get cars, to have to work on cars to make them, so, and then.
Very nice.
But we know there's been water.
I don't think we're gonna solve that.
Maybe
We're not gonna solve that here, so. I guess what is the wish of the commission at this point?
Make a motion to approve. Additional use permit.
Second.
So we have a motion to approve based on what? Everything that's been presented with the traffic affecting Mr. Duncan.
And then Wade is still going to, I think the conversation I heard is that they're going to be overseeing that. Then a couple visits a year to make sure that it's working, is that what I heard?
Yeah, I would recommend some, requirements, conditions be placed on the approval. One, occupancy limit of 299, that needs to be a hard line. That if it is routinely surpassed, it could, you know, give you the authority to remove their authorization. I do think, let's see, we still need some in writing on the permission for the parking for teachers at Northside Church of Christ. Minimum parking spaces, I mean, I can address that without. And then, you know, I do think one of the comments I put is to do a review, periodic review. I put annual in there if the commission wants that to be done at a, you know, higher frequency. You can put that condition on them and me that we have to get together. I also think maybe it would be prudent for, you know, Mr. Duncan and the school to have a sit down and kind of try and come up with a plan that works for everybody. I'd be happy to be in on that, but you know, that would be, you know, something that if the commission wanted to table and look at it in a subsequent meeting, we could have that take place, or you could just, you know, put that as direction to me to facilitate that with the school.
Would we also need in David's motion if we don't table the rerouting to the south? We changed around.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's something where, you know, we probably need to have some more conversations with Mr. Duncan. Again, that can be made as a condition on the approval that we get that worked out, or it can be something where you request additional information, additional items take place, and then we push this to the regular July meeting, or we schedule a special meeting within a couple of weeks. This school is approaching quickly. I know this well because I have a road I have to get over back up before me. So I don't want to keep pushing any decisions back too far to where it puts them in a bind, but also don't want to go at a point that we overlook something that ends up hurting some other businesses that aren't existing.
Yes, we have a motion and a second, and I think we need to withdraw that motion. Make a motion to withdraw.
I'll withdraw the motion.
We have a motion to withdraw the motion. Do we have a second?
Well, if he withdrew his motion,
He's gonna,
I withdrew my second, he withdrew his motion, you don't have anything.
okay, now it's gonna make another.
Make a motion to approve conditional use permit, with following conditions that the occupancy limit is, 299. That the traffic management plan limiting and preventing school traffic from backing up onto public streets is addressed. To have the writing agreement, Northside Church of Christ, allowing use of parking lot. That's why it said the minimum of 17 parking spaces, 2 of which to be 88 spaces for on-site parking. And at least an annual review of the permit after each school year to evaluate. That's
Then to work with Duncan. You really don't know about that.
yeah. Absolutely.
Have the motion, seconds. We got the motion and a second. Do I need to repeat? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. There's no other business to come before this commission. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
That motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, opposed. Okay.